As some of you may know, I was forced to take a break from making YouTube content with my last real video being published on March 18th. In this video, I'll very briefly go over what has changed on my end since then, and more importantly, talk about what you can look forward to in the upcoming weeks and months from the channel. First off, thank you to everybody who's continued to watch my videos on this break, and I greatly appreciate the kind words of encouragement. As for the cause of my absence, my main source of income comes from a portfolio of rental properties that I own and self-manage, and unfortunately had two properties go bad on me at the same time. The tenants were not paying rent, and there were trash in the place. On top of that, inflation is driving prices of everything through the roof. For example, I could have a 2,400 square foot house painted on the inside for about $3,000 a couple years ago, and now it costs close to $6,000. As you can see, my revenue from YouTube averaged around $1,500 per month, which is amazing for being in business for less than a year. But when faced with a $30,000 rehab budget for each house, it didn't make sense to continue making videos when I could do about $10,000 worth of labor myself and save some costs. So basically, I've been doing drywall work, painting, plumbing, demo, cleanup, and so many more things for about 70 days straight with no days off. And while I'm not 100% done yet, the big stuff is out of the way, and I can space the rest of the project out over the next couple months and finish it slowly. Needless to say, I am over the whole manual labor thing for now and excited to be back at work. Let's talk about the channel. My original intention was to start a real estate investing channel, but I had no experience making videos, so I started a gaming channel in order to learn the ropes with plans to switch over after a year or so. As you can see from the graphs, the growth has been far beyond my expectations, and I'm fully committed to making this gaming channel work for the long term. The biggest challenge is earning enough revenue to justify the time involved in making a video. Most of my videos are highly edited and take anywhere from 1 to 3 hours for every 1 minute of video time. For example, the World Conquest recap video took around 100 hours to make and has earned just over $300 in that time, which equates to an hourly rate of $3 per hour. This figure doesn't include expenses such as the computer, electricity, internet, etc. You don't need a PhD in mathematics to realize that these numbers won't support a family of 4. Looking at the channel overall, a rate of 250 per 1,000 views can be expected. For every 1 million views, I can expect to make about $2,500. The plan is to be up to 4 million views monthly by the end of next year, which would allow me to reinvest most of the revenue back into the channel by way of hiring an editor, better equipment. Oh, on a side note, how's the sound? I moved to a new place, set up a studio with a legit microphone and desk with much less noise from a busy street. Solely relying on YouTube ads for income seems like a poor business strategy, so I've been thinking of other income streams to help supplement that. In order for something to make sense, it has to meet some criteria though. It can't take up too much of my time, which would take away from making content, and it has to provide significant value to you all. After spending hundreds of hours while painting and thinking about this issue, the best I came up with is a website. Original, I know. The goal here is to create an easily accessible place for all of the useful information from each video and guide that is intelligently organized. Yes, I'm looking at you, crappy playlist from YouTube. Each guide will be easily searchable with links to YouTube, the script from each video posted alongside for easy searching with Control F, and all relevant data attached. YouTube's ability to organize and categorize videos from one channel is mind-bogglingly bad, and scrolling through countless playlists and searches to find what you need can be frustrating to say the least, and this part of the website should help solve that. I would also like to have the Hero Builder functionality on the website somehow. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to implement that, so if you're familiar with this area and have experience building websites, please hit me up. Essentially, I want the Notion database integrated into the website so you can do searches like all perks that increase movement speed or all governor perks that increase settlement loyalty. Then I would like to have a shopping cart of sorts where you can pick which perks to add to the basket and have everything tally up at the end so you know exactly what bonuses your character will have, as well as how many attribute and skill points are required to get there. The Hero Builder I built in Notion does a decent job, but I want all of this to be automated and spit out a PDF with everything on it. This would eliminate the need for people to download Notion, figure out how to use it, and mess with the database. If all goes well here, I could have a couple million page views per month and a couple ads placed throughout the website. It would easily generate a few $1,000s in revenue and allow for further investment into the channel. For the next segment, I would like to talk about Bannerlord and branching out into other games. There is still plenty of life in Bannerlord, and no doubt it will continue to grow until the final release and probably even after that. That being said, the development cycle has been a bit perplexing with updates taking many months at this point. To that end, I would like to make a few videos featuring some of the Paradox games. EU4 will be the first, as I have about 5,000 hours into that game and feel very comfortable with 95% of the game mechanics. I've already built a Notion database cataloging all of the bonuses from ideas, policies, great projects, and so forth, and plan to do a couple short videos on how to use it. A great example of how I used it would be playing Prussia, probably one of the most fun nations to form in the game. The biggest downside is the crippling governing capacity limitations. However, we can fix this by doing a few things: completing administrative ideas and conquering, then upgrading both the Grand Palace of Bangkok and El Escorial for a total of 50% increase to governing capacity. On top of that, taking the Doge's Palace and the Royal Palace of Caserta will give extra reform progress modifiers, which can then in turn be invested into more governing capacity. With all of these in your possession, it would be possible to complete a one-tag world conquest with Prussia and make old Fritz a very proud man. This is just one example of how the database and a video guide might be useful, and I'm sure there are countless others. Finally, let's go over what's next for the Bannerlord content this month. The next video will be the Ranged Cavalry Tactics Guide and should be ready this week. After that, I plan to continue the Bannerlord Tactics Guides in two different directions: combined army tactics and individual unit versus unit testing. The combined army guides will test realistic army compositions in real battles. We will create an army, find a comparable enemy, save the game, and fight the same battle several times, testing out different tactics to see which one produced the best results. The goal here is to create a couple different types of armies with each faction, such as mostly mid-tier or all top tier, cavalry heavy, archer heavy, or infantry heavy. While it will be important to find the most effective army composition, it will be equally important to find usable tactics for those campaigns where you don't feel like crushing everybody using the meta. Sorry Fians and Khans guards, but you can be extremely boring after winning a few battles. For the unit versus unit guides, I will be taking each tier and unit type, for example, all tier 2 infantry or tier 4 melee cavalry, and testing them against one another. The plan is to test every unit in the game, but we'll see how that goes. Aside from the tactics guides, I also plan on starting the next campaign. I'm not sure the timing of everything just yet, but I have the full playthroughs already recorded and only need to edit them into episodes. This campaign was crazy, and I say that after having over 3,000 hours into the game, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. We'll be playing as Amir Timur, the Turco-Mongol conqueror from the 14th century who founded the Timurid Empire. There will be no mods for this one, but we are imposing a ton of restrictions to create an extreme challenge. Here are some of the important ones. We start at war with everyone on the map, and no peace is allowed at any time. We start with nothing. No food, no money, no weapons, clothes, or family members, and we begin in jail. No buying of supplies are allowed unless it's from our own fiefs. We will steal, raid, and pillage to survive and thrive. Selling is still allowed to pay for our troop wages. No smithing is allowed at any point in time. All kills must be recorded. Amir Timur killed an estimated 5% of the world's population, so we will try to achieve something similar to that in Calradia. In the beginning, I struggled to come up with goals to aim for in this campaign. A world conquest seemed unlikely given the strict rules and having death enabled. I don't want to give any spoilers, so I'll leave you with this. The Amir Timur character turned out to be even more powerful than Frederick the Great from the previous campaign. Keep an eye out soon for the intro and for episode 1. Oh, before I forget, I would like to announce that I will start streaming on YouTube soon. I don't know the frequency or the schedule just yet, as I will probably start off doing them as time permits, kind of impromptu, but if they go well, we can turn them into a regular thing. I plan on doing some modded playthroughs for the live streams, so that should make it interesting. Thank you so much again for all your support in my absence. I really missed everyone and making these videos and cannot adequately express how happy I am to be back at work on this labor of love. I'll see you on the next video. Later. Or all top tier, cavalry heavy, blah blah blah. Even more powerful than Frederick the Great.